Internet. 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 Internet.
Internet.
Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet. Internet.
Internet. What's up, Internet? How you doing? Yeah. It's Friday. Friday. It's Friday, and I'm excited. I'm excited. What is up, everybody? Big Pedro, first one to the chat. Winner fish dinner. Seriously? Right off the bat? What are you doing? Big Pedro, first one to the chat. Kevin Keener is here. What is up? Karen KZ Ellis, how you doing? Third. You were third with the first. The first comment was you were the third, right? Frank Dominguez is here. The bearded fish keeper, AMA Aquatics. What's up? Turbo Fish. It is funky time. Funky Friday time. Candy Overhauls, Wushu, Jimmy Brown. It is Funky Friday. Eli's Aquariums, what's up? Tim Lewis, Roger Deadham, Lurker in lurker mode. Everybody's in lurker mode. I like that. I like that to a degree. We need a couple people not in lurker mode though, right? 54 Punchy, what's up? How's Wyoming going? Steven Scogland's here. Steven Scogland. Kevin Hayes. New moderation options, it says. I don't know. What are the new moderator options? Let's see. Nisi is here. What's up, Nisi? How you doing? Lisa C's lurking hard. Hey, FU2 is here. And I'm working in some new, well, I'm just multitasking here, you guys. These, lineman pliers are like super tight, so I'm over here just trying to play with them, get them loosened up a little bit. Who else is here? Travis Hemming, what is up? Happy Friday to you. Glass Boxes, Mr. Gillett is here. What's going on? Doggy surprises already, that is for sure. The dogs are barking back there, which is probably going to be the case a little bit for the show here, just to let you know, because it is super duper windy out here in Tacoma, Washington today. I don't know if Seattle's super windy or up north. Whoa, I ran into the table. Sorry about that. It's super duper duper windy here today. It's not like a hurricane or anything crazy like that, but it's super windy and pretty nice out there, honestly. Let's see. Bracken says, yo, dude, can't wait to hear about those plants. How about to get two kinds of Bucephalandra and Lagarandra, which is pretty new to the hobby. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is. Lagarandra. I'm gonna look that up. Right quick, kid. I meant Lagarandra. Laganandra. Oh, okay, you were missing an N in there a little bit. Laganandra is a genus of flowering plants in the Araceae family. It is endemic to the Indian subcontinent. The genus is similar to cryptocrine, but can be distinguished from its involute vernation. So everybody knows about the involute vernation out there, everybody. Of course, everybody knows about that. Oh, so they're closely related to crypts and whatnot. All right, I'm on the hunt now. You just convinced me. You just quickly convinced me to get on the hunt for some of those. So I'll probably be hitting up some people, see who's got it. Let's see here. Oh, Sashimi Whiskey in the chat. What is up? Bare Bottom Aquariums. Mary Beth Mabe, how you doing? Kevin Keener says, soak the head of those linemen in gas overnight. They'll be perfect with no work. Sure. I'll try that out. I will try that out, Kevin. Kevin, to anybody out there that doesn't know, Kevin Keener is he's one of our bearded fellows out there with the strong beard game. I gotta tell you, strong beard game. And the reason I bring that up, right, is the over here at the Patreon channel, or on the Patreon here. I know this has been a little confusing to some people. So the Patreon is how we go about what the deuce. I got the wrong link here, guys. Hold on a second. What did I do? What did I do? Okay, there we go. I gotta get the right thing. I did the wrong thing, guys. So the Patreon is where the support for the channel comes from. And I had 2 questions that I was going to follow up on answering, but I had to emergency reboot my computer, and I lost the 2 questions. For whatever reason, the notepad just threw them in the garbage. I don't know why. It normally saves it. But here's a reason why the Patreon is cool. I posted the community link. So there's a community tab there. If you guys have a question or a problem or something like that, guess what? Patreon doesn't have to reboot their hard drives or whatnot. I think their servers are a little more quality than mine. So if you guys do have a thing, posting it up on the community is a great way to do it there. And if you guys go check out Kevin, he's got that strong beard game. You know what I'm saying? He's got stronger beard game than I do, which is saying something, right? So I just wanted to post that up to people. That's how we support the thing here. That's how we support the production of the show while we keep doing this show. And we got more shows coming out for you. If you guys noticed yesterday, we had a guest in studio here, which was Corey from Aquarium Co-op. And you guys noticed that Jimmy is, well, I don't know what you'd call him. We just call him Corey's Jimmy. He didn't make it. He didn't make it up here yesterday. He was too busy editing some awesome video, which honestly, I even hit the like button on that one. I hit the like. Ding. Right? So I guess I'm supposed to remind people to hit the like button on the stream if you guys like this. And to share it out there and all that kind of stuff. This is essentially a community show, so anybody that's new here, the whole reason for doing this show is in order to grow the community, to get out, reach out to people, help people out that need help, also show you guys how to do some stuff. It is an hour-long show from 4 to 5, Monday through Friday, and we normally don't have a video segment on Friday, so I am happy to say we have a video segment on this Friday because we had a guest in studio yesterday, so that kind of pushed the video thing out, so we actually have video today, which we don't normally on Friday. Friday's normally the sort of ask me whatever you want to ask me kind of question, kind of day, kind of vibe around here. Maybe like catch up on some of the stuff from the week, catch up on some of the questions and stuff that I may or may not have missed. Unfortunately, like I said, the 2 that I was looking up, they disappeared. So it kind of sucks at this point because they were in the chat and the chat got obliterated by whatever. So at some point in time, maybe I'll figure it out. I don't know. Maybe I'll be able to find them. I don't know. Bare Bottoms Aquarium says Des Moines is very windy, which Des Moines is pretty near to here. So I'm guessing most of Western Washington is probably pretty pretty windy. It's pretty windy out here. So if I do lose power, that will be what happens to the show for today. If the power goes out, I can't operate the show. So we'll see how it goes. Sashimi had problems logging into the Jimmy channel. Just saying hi. Been editing the Gary Lang video. Nice. That's pretty cool. Gary Lang is an awesome dude, and I'm sure that video is going to be dope. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Oh, okay. Just trying to catch up on the chat here a little bit. One thing that I wanted to mention right off the bat. We do have a new microphone. I don't know, swing arm, whatever you want to call this thing. The swing arm here, courtesy of our friends up north from the Aquarium Co-op. Definitely huge appreciation in regards to that. Also, the plants going in today were some excess plants that Corey had with him, so he brought those up. He had some orphan plants that needed a good place to go. So a big thank you to Corey out there, wherever you're at in the internet world, in the internet Earth planet, wherever you're at. Big thanks. And luckily, I think we ironed out a bunch of the information in regards to the podcast. If you guys haven't checked out the podcast, I think we're gonna find a happy medium here, a happy medium between both groups of whatever you want to call it, both groups of the Earth planet people. That we're gonna do one live, we're gonna do one recorded. So hopefully that works out. So if you guys are paying attention, if you're paying attention at all, that is the Real Fish Talk. If you guys look that up, you guys can find all the information on Jimmy, on the Jimmy of Aquarium Co-op. If you check out his channel, which I'm sure a lot of you already know, but just have to check that out and let you guys know that we're going to be pumping out more material, going in depth into more stuff. And at some point in time, here's an announcement for this channel here, is that at some point in time, I'm going to start putting out some more short videos. That is the long-term plan here as we do the... Oh, Anisi's got the link right there, the Aquarium Co-op Real Fish Talk link. So if you guys want to get appraised on that, that is some stuff that I hope, hopefully you guys will be, into. If not, somebody else will be into it, right? But those commuters out there and all that kind of stuff, that will be going on, coming up real soon. So I'm pretty stoked as we keep working on those projects. And like I was saying here, that on this channel, I'm going to start doing some more of the short videos, and hopefully those will be coming out on the weekends, is when those will be coming out. That is the plan here, is to get those out on the weekend and stuff. So that is something that's going on here. I'm going to try to do some more nonsense videos of me accidentally breaking stuff or whatever. You know, it's like, oh, Jed, check this thing out. This thing's awesome. Kashnap. Oh. Stress test complete. So we'll be doing some of that. So those I've been getting I will be getting a lot of I'll be getting a lot more video work done as we move along here. That is a big portion of the reason for that is that just the outpouring of support that has come on the Patreon. We're obviously short of our goal, right? But I'm you know, head over, I don't understand how to say it. Maybe head over heels, I guess. Maybe I'm head over heels in regards to the support that we've gotten so far. We have 55 patronizers, people chipping in to help the production costs of all this stuff. So I'm pretty stoked by it. We're getting more and more people like commenting on there, and you know, kind of helping build this community and stuff, which I think is really paramount. I'm super excited about being able to collaborate with some more people. It's been a long time since I've been able to actively collaborate with people that actually show up in realistically. And so far, Corey and Jimmy have certainly showed up. So it's great to like get some teamwork going on, and we have a bunch of projects coming up down the pipe and stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I don't know, it just feels like kind of a Friday talk to go like, hey man, there's lots of good stuff going on. There's good stuff, you guys. We've got the weekend coming up. This weekend is going to be busy, my guys and gals. This is going to be a busy weekend for this guy right here. We're gonna start off early tomorrow morning. We got a brunch that we're doing. Then we're gonna go see Blade Runner, the brand new Blade Runner. If anybody has seen it and you spoil it for me, I'm gonna freak out. So don't spoil it for me, because I'll be seeing it tomorrow, and don't worry, I won't spoil it for you guys. I guess that's the trade-off, right? Don't spoil it for me, I won't spoil it for you. So that's like the beginning part, and then we're going up to Mukilteo, which we're staying up in Mukilteo. If anybody's familiar with Washington, it's way north of here, so we're going up there to stay there. Then Sunday, we're going to some family event, and then at 6 o'clock, we're going to take a aerial tour of Seattle, because we did a charity event a while ago for oh man, what's the name of the charity? I feel like an idiot right now, but basically, it was a charity for orphan dogs, right? So orphan canines that end up not really having anywhere to go. So that was a charity for that. And one of the things that we got when we were there was we won this aerial tour. We basically donated, so at a silent auction, we ended up winning this aerial tour. So we're gonna go fly around. So hopefully, I get some good. Maybe pictures and video of like flying around the city. I don't know. That should be cool. And then we'll be back here Sunday evening, really tired and wondering that Monday is suddenly coming. So this is gonna be a busy weekend. So I'm gonna try and see if I can't get one of the short videos done. It's like half edited or whatever. I'm gonna see if I can get one done and have it pop up like on Sunday or something like that. So if anybody's going through serious withdrawals and want some extra video and stuff, but I do know Corey and Jimmy will be on tomorrow. LR Bretts is on tonight, so there's a whole bunch of people doing stuff. So I don't think we'll be totally lacking and whatnot. Bear Bottom saying thank you for the 5 days a week, helping keeping you sober. Oh, that is awesome. It's one of my sober brethren out there, which brethren is all-encompassing, male and female. Where the hell did my thing go? I have a thing over here. Where did it go? It disappeared. There it is. All right. I am at day... Oh, I misquoted yesterday. I'm 1,242 days sober. Surprises! Which is good, right? So keep up the good work. Honestly, if you are sober, keep up the good work. It sounds cliche, but everything just starts getting better and better. Realistically does. It just I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it when I came in and decided to get sober and start working on that kind of stuff. I didn't believe it. You know, people were saying stuff to me and I didn't believe it. Honestly, I just was like, I don't know what the hell's going on. This is crazy. And I didn't believe those guys, the old-timey guys, the old-timey dudes. I didn't believe them necessarily because I was just a mess. And so speaking from my own perspective, I was just like, I don't even understand what these people are talking about. I don't know what's going on, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And here I am like 3.5 years later, and yeah, life's fantastic. Life is awesome. So keep it up. Keep up the good work for sure, and keep on keeping on, right? Travis Hemming, loving the collabs with Corey and Jimmy. Funny and informative, my two favorite things. Oh, right on. It's definitely encouraging to hear that you guys like it and stuff. So we're gonna keep doing it. That's going to be the thing. Coming up, Sashimi is very excited about it too. Sick collabs. Those deep dark sick collabs. I don't know if Jimmy. I'm gonna probably drive Jimmy crazy when we go out to the aquatic experience in Chicago. which if you guys travel over to the Patreon, our first big goal that we're trying to hit is turning off all the advertising. To those of you out there that may or may not be confused by that, that's our big goal, to eliminate the advertising. The next big goal we have right now is to pay for, to help pay back the credit card for the trip to the aquatic experience in Chicago. So people that are excited about that stuff, if you want to support by the end of the month, then that would be super cool. We're gonna have a bunch of giveaways and stuff while we're out there. We'll be at the YouTube table whenever I'm at the YouTube table. I have no idea when where I'll end up showing up, but I'll be there. I'll be square, and I'll also be at the event and in Chicago at Eric Gonmad's house. So I'll be at Gonmad's house. If anybody knows where his house is, that's where I'll be sleeping. You could, I don't know, scare the pants off of us or something. Is this like the new content? Less talk, less tank, more talk. Just curious. 024 DJF. This is some of the new content. Yeah, we have tank talk we have tank talk throughout the whole thing. We talk about stuff. We also have a video segment in the middle. So yeah, let's see. Maybe make a list of websites or links and names of things you can peek at while you talk. I don't know what that means. That's confusing to me. Bracken, even though I'm under 20 years old. Oh, okay. Consider that a warning. What? I don't know. I'm confused. What's going on with Bracken? What's the warning? What happened? I don't know. Oh. I don't know. I wouldn't worry about it. I don't think anything is no, Bracken retracted his own statement, so yes, I wouldn't worry about any of that. I don't think Bracken was being disrespectful, so yeah, he took it back himself. So yeah, okay, cool. So no issue, non-issue, right? Word. That's always good. So honestly, I think we're a little bit early for the video segment, but I think, yeah, I know Bracken's good people. That's why I was wondering what was going on. I was like, consider that a warning, Bracken. I was like, what did he do? I didn't read anything bad in here. So, I was like, what's the deal? Bracken's one of the good ones. All right. Well, we're gonna ramble over here to the video segment, even though it does feel a little early for it. So, like I said, we got some of those sort of orphaned plants, right? These were just some of the stuff that Corey brought up or down. Sorry, he didn't bring it up. He brought it down south, right? Coming south is down, not up. Wait, what? Yeah, anyhow, he was gracious enough to bring down some plants. He was actually asking me about what, he was asking me what was going on in this tank. And realistically, I do have some big plans for this tank, but I am always happy to have some ANUBIAS Nana and some Nana Petite. That's always welcome in my fish room, honestly, which is totally cool. And I have good plans to get this tiger lotus going, get this tiger locust going real good. As Jordan Leroy's saying, rock wool is a nightmare to get out of the roots. Yes, it is a bit of a nightmare to get out of the roots. I always try to show this portion to you guys that I go about this a little bit aggressively to get all that rock wool out. Now, one of the biggest reasons to get rock wool out is that it will never really break down in your tank, right? I've seen it time and time again where new people get plants from the store and they'll pull the pot off and they keep the rock wool and they stick the rock wool down into their substrate. So it's something that I really like to remind people that you do want to remove that rock wool. Over time, it will just pick up doo-doo and ammonia and stuff like that, and it's just not great to have it in there, and it will never break down. If you think it's going to break down, it won't. It won't break down. Let's see. Kevin Hayes saying, what is your take on when to add CO2 to a newly planted tank? Is it beneficial before they take root, or should you wait a week or 2 weeks? Honestly, I dial in my CO2 about a week after, but that's not really for any like scientific reason or anything like that. It's just a later thing that I do. It's just more down the line kind of deal. Because it's like, I don't need to do it right off the bat because I'm doing all the other stuff. So whereas Kevin just got done setting up his tank today, if you're ready to go on the CO2, I would just get it going right away. It will actually, realistically, would help your plants to have some CO2 during the day to help them root a little bit easier. But as you all know, you know, doing a planted tank is kind of a long-term thing. So realistically, setting up the ecosystem, letting the plants grow, you want to kind of expand your timeline a little bit, just in your mind that like, oh, this thing's not going to be grown in a week or 2 weeks or anything like that. So, that's just something to kind of bear in mind a little bit, is that I don't get around to doing it for like a week or 2 weeks after setting up a tank, but that's just really because I'm doing other stuff. It's really not necessarily, it's not necessarily the, whatchamacallit, what's the word there? It's not like, you know, it's not like for a scientific reason or anything like that. So it's realistically, has to do with just me being timeline in my personal, like when I got to get work done and stuff like that. Let me catch up with the chat here a little bit in regards to that. Let's see, Rockwell, especially when the plants have grown. Oh yeah, yeah. If you leave that rock wool in there, the roots will already have grown into the rock wool, so it will only get worse if you don't take the rock wool out. Honestly, it's not a good deal. Let's see. Oh, Turbofish was saying that was my bad. Yeah, I think all good. All the turbofishes, all the brackens are all good. Let's see here. Chili mixed with super glue is a nightmare to get out of your hair. I have never personally experienced that, but yeah, that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy for sure. That would be a hard one. Let's see here. Well, I guess just a slight moderation deal here. We basically do a 2 warning system here to people. Don't be. I guess it's more just like, you know, if you wouldn't be saying it to your mom, like, leave it alone. Realistically. Being respectful to others and stuff, that's the main thing. Some people can't figure it out. All right, let's see here. Stephen Fitzgerald says parsley is an excellent antioxidant, but it should really be cooked into whatever you're making. I like that. Give it a shake on the surface of water in a bucket. Gets a lot of the stuck rock wool out. Yes, that is a great point. And I did do that myself. I don't think that I shot it with the camera, so I didn't have me shaking it out. But once it gets, once that gets, wait, what? Oh, okay. Once it gets, what was that? What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, I shook it out, but I didn't shoot it with the camera, mainly just because I was shaking it out in a weird location, so I didn't move the camera over there. But yes, once you pull all that rock wool out, you can shake it in some water and get most of it out. I generally use my planting tongs a little bit to get anything that's really small, really stuck in there. Let's see, Jordan Leroy got 3 monster portions of ANUBIAS for 10 pounds, so split 12. So $12 split into 6 healthy portions. I used a shower head on the rock wool. Oh, so you're just using a sprayer to get everything out of there with the rock wool. Candy Overhauls has a question. I want to get Monte Carlo carpeting plants with no CO2. Will it grow okay? What is going on? Oh, it's the mailman. Hey, man. Baby. Yeah. Sometimes you got to yell at the dog. I don't know. She likes to bark at the mailman, and this is the mailman's time of the day. And I wanted to talk to the mailman, but just a quick note here. This is the 3rd different mailman I've seen. I saw 3 different mailmen this week. We typically have a lady mailman, and everyone that's been delivering the mail this week has been a dude. So I don't know where our normal one is, but you know. So a little odd. Let's see. Lisa C. Can you plant Java fern directly into the substrate? No. Typically, some people can. I've seen some people do it. But the rhizome has to be above the substrate, and it's really difficult to do with Java fern, just because of how they have tiny little roots and stuff. So honestly, you're not going to have a lot of success trying to plant it that way. And it will be very difficult to deal with, and it will most often come floating out. So what I typically do, especially with Java fern, even in this application here, is I'll super glue just a little tiny rock. I just super glue it to the rhizome, and that gives it enough weight to drop it down, and I'll put it in the spot where I want it to go. And typically those little fine roots will grab onto something. So I'll position it behind a rock or something like that, and those little fine roots will grab onto that. The big rock or something, whatever is going to remain stationary within the tank, those fine roots will grab onto whatever something that is in its kind of range. And Eddie West with the $10 super chat, my man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much with the super chat. I very much appreciate it. You didn't have a question. It was just, hey, bud, here's a Friday tip. Here's a Friday hot tip. Here's a 10 spot. Which is pretty cool. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. Everything that you guys donate goes into producing more stuff. So if anybody's ever wondering what's going on with the fundraising or any of that kind of stuff, or super chats or any of that kind of stuff that you guys do, that all goes back into making more videos, trying to share more stuff with you guys about tips on what you can and what you can't do, or any of that kind of stuff. As you notice in the video there, I'm currently calling this plant Frazzle Dazzle. Is the longleaf Java fern that we've got one little pot of that. The ANUBIAS that are going in there, it's 2 different kinds of ANUBIAS, the same strain, just 2 different varietals, if that makes sense. So one is the petite, Nana Petite, and then the bigger one is just a more standard size, nicely grown in, big Nana. Jordan Leroy loves how Java fern propagates, load of little hairy roots and eventually a rhizome growing off of a leaf. Yes, little known fact, Java fern propagates in 3 different ways. There aren't very many plants that do that, that do all 3. There's a lot that do 2, and there's a lot that do 1, but there isn't very many plants out there that do all 3 different kinds. Java fern is one of them, which is badass. Let's see. Tied it to wood or wedge it. Your dogs keep eating the mailman. Yep. Well, they keep trying to eat the mailman. I think if they ate one of them, they would probably be satiated their hunger, because they're little dogs. They're little dogs, and so they get barky. Stephen Fitzgerald says, don't forget to click the like button, because you gotta like it, right? Otherwise, people don't like it. My dog hates the new mailman. Must give up bad vibes. Can you plant Java fern directly in the substrate? Which I already answered that. United Puppy Smashers at it again. And somebody up here had a question. Are you just leaving the Java ferns to grow or attaching it to something? So I think I answered that. I did super glue them to little rocks so I can let them grow in the back. You can see me placing it right there. Those little Java ferns have a little rock on the bottom of them, so that the rhizome can stay nice up and not get suffocated down into the substrate or anything like that. And this is the longleaf varietal, so I am putting it in the back because it'll grow up nice and tall and do that kind of stuff. As you guys can see, I was kind of having a little bit of issue with my camera placement and that kind of stuff, and that's because there's a new light on this tank, which we'll be going over that fairly soon, and I'll be telling you about what the light is on here. I do have a little bit of reflection from the reef also. I'm not used to having to deal with that in the middle of the day. I normally shoot earlier in the morning when the rest of the tank lights are off, so a little bit of a problem there in the video, and my apologies. Candy Overholes was asking about the Monte Carlo carpet. This is me actually planting some Monte Carlo here that was growing outside in a bucket. Monte Carlo is pretty resilient. I wouldn't personally go into trying to grow it without CO2. It has a bit of a problem kind of adapting realistically without CO2. And those of you who've been tracking the progress on the 240 know that there is some Monte Carlo in the very center of that aquarium, which was taking a really long time to adapt, and finally did start growing. This we'll see how long this takes to get going here. It's really the downside and discouraging part of dealing with Monte Carlo is that once it starts growing, it grows like crazy, but you do have to wait while it just looks crappy for a while to actually get going. Once it gets going, then it's great stuff. You trim it all the time and keep it and it keep growing pretty well. But this is one that you have to be patient with, from moving it to one place to another. It's like, I swear, every time you go out there and you look at it and you're just like, dude, what the hell? And there are some people out there that have just crazy success with Monte Carlo. I'm not one of those people. I have crazy success with dwarf baby tears, pearlweed, which is like the bigger variety. I also, whether it's glossostigma, dwarf hairgrass, any of that kind of stuff, I have great success with that. Monte Carlo, for whatever reason, is like one of my Achilles heel plants, so I continue to grow it. I continue putting it in my tanks to try and figure out what it is that I'm doing wrong with it. And it does grow, and it definitely grows in my substrate, that's for sure, because that's where the Monte Carlo that's going in this tank came from. It was in a bucket of substrate outside. There wasn't anything in it, and then it had sprouted and grown around the outside of that bucket. So hopefully hopefully I'll get to the bottom of what I'm missing as far as the there's probably some nutrient or something that I'm missing out on and not getting exactly the way that I want it to be. These little ANUBIAS, the little Nana Petites here, these little guys, this is my favorite way to plant them, is find a good spot in some elevated driftwood and actually, plant them in a nook and cranny, and they will grab on over time. They will grab on over time if you have them just kind of nicely tucked in a good spot, and it really looks fantastic once it really starts to grow in and starts to get bigger and bigger. It's a really impressive looking plant, realistically. Sexy is a weird word to say about a plant, but it's definitely a sexy plant once you get it grown in. If you guys have seen some of the video of Victoria's tank, her tank is primarily ANUBIAS of the Nana variety, and I think it's coming along quite well. One thing I forgot to bring in here as a Friday surprise, hold on, guys. You guys are going to have to talk amongst yourselves. Listen to some gangster rap. I got to grab it. All right. Ugh. All right, here we are. Got ourselves a piece of wood. We got ourselves a piece of wood here that will be going in the 240 and taking over the left, or yeah, I guess when you guys look at it, the right-hand side. So this would be a piece that will be going into the 240, and I'll be showing you guys how to deal with that next week. If anybody gets excited about big pieces of beautiful wood, there it is. I forgot to bring it in here. I was remember to bring it in here. I totally forgot to bring it in right on time. So, but I had to run and grab it. But you know, sorry about that. Let's see. And Jordan was asking, what am I planting as the carpeting plant? So hopefully I answered that. Let's see. My dog hates the mailman. Must give off bad vibes. That's a great point. Mary Beth May. It could be a vacation. It could be a vacation. I'm not sure what happened to our regular mail carrier. Oh my God, that's exactly what I was typing. If you get long enough roots, you can glue it to a rock and then bury the rock. That is true. That is very true. That's a great point. Gold indica snails move lava rocks. Mine seem to be moving around. Any kind of big snail will move stuff around. That is a big issue in my reef tank. The reef tank pretty regularly has some relocation from some of the big snails I got in there, not to mention the conch snails I got are getting about this big, and they keep moving stuff around. So next week we will be doing some reef work. I know that a lot of everybody here, not a lot of everybody, a lot of the folks here are not necessarily reef fanatics, but I'll get some of you hooked. I'll get some of you hooked. I know it. I know that I'll get some of you hooked. And hopefully I'll start to see some of your guys, maybe reefs coming along or not. I hope so. Most people think it's just wildly expensive. It realistically isn't. It's just a different varietal of fish tank. But I like reef tanks, and we'll be doing some reef work to avoid the snails moving the stuff around. So to answer your question, yes, snails will for sure move things around. They just run right into them and scoot them all over the place. So I always try to make sure things I don't want moved are kind of nailed down a little bit. Let's see. Love... did you know the awesomest fish keepers hit the like button? Yeah, mine has been propagating like mad, but I think it's because it's dying. Oh, that is a possibility. If you do plant a Java fern, a lot of times it will start to propagate because the rhizome is dying. So I would, that's one of the things that you can pay attention to what your plants are doing. I'm trying to catch up on the chat here, but I'm way behind. I'm way behind on the chat, you guys. KG Cichlids hooked on the right kind of reefer. The reefer madness. I need more coral. It's like I need more anemones, you know. I need more anemones. Oh man, I'll tell you guys, I saw a contest earlier that you could sign up for and hopefully win a starburst anemone. If you've never seen a starburst anemone, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. I really wanted to join the contest, but I never win the contest, so it seems kind of pointless to give out my information to a website that's just going to email me all the time, and that seemed kind of like a waste. But I do want a starburst anemone. I never even seen them for sale, realistically. Like, they're definitely not at stores, so that ends up being part of the problem, right? Because they're not at stores. Let me click on the community link over here and make sure that I'm going to answer all of the questions that you all messaged in to me. Fenders 53 was saying it's cute how Pacific Northwest city folk want to add minerals to your tanks, says the guy with a well in Iowa that has to be near TDS of 1,000. Don't know, because the test kit doesn't go that high. That is brutal. So that is something that I did want to answer, because both Bulk Reef Supply had some has a new video out now where they went in depth into testing a roadie, and here's the weird thing, it ended up kind of verifying a lot of what I was talking about. So thumbs up to those guys, right? Oh, no. I mean, I think just the science is just the science. You know, that's one of those times where science is just science, and, you know, you could either refute it or just put it into play. But they definitely did some in-depth testing on some roadie units and stuff like that. So somebody that's in the 1,000 TDS like that would actually need to use the RO side of an RODI for filtering your water, which does account for a lot of freshwater applications, that's for sure, and it certainly applies to reef applications. I know that a lot of people out there are using roadie water now for their freshwater shrimp, and then remineralizing the water to get a lot more balanced out of, you know, from their water supply might be terrible. You know, what I'm basically using now is just a DI, which by the end of their, like, you know, by the end of their 25-minute video, they go, well, we tested the RO unit without anything except for the deionization, and guess what? They were getting 0 TDS out of it, and all of the nasties out of the water. But their recommendation, which I wasn't necessarily in agreement with, was, oh, you could use you can use a DI filter that's just 100% DI to get your water clean, but it will cost you a lot more money. Now, that's where I kind of have to differentiate a little bit, because essentially buying a brand new RO unit, RODI unit, is going to be in the, you know, $200 range at least to get a decent one. As I showed you guys earlier in the year when I was building the push filter, which I'll be showing you guys next week, it doesn't have any wastewater in it, so that's going to save you a little bit of money over the long term. And then recharging your DI, which I'll be doing sometime fairly soon. I'll be refilling those and showing you guys how to do that. Realistically, that's what offsets the price, because by the time the RO is worn out, you would have to replace that. So if you buy deionized media, so the mixed media that goes in for deionization, you'll essentially add up with you'll essentially offset the price realistically, because you can buy it in bulk and recharge the filters that go inside there, and that can definitely offset the price of what they were talking about, because to build the push filter only costs about $40 realistically for the 3 chambers, and then you buy all the filters separately and buy the media separately. You're going to save a lot of money and a lot of headache, and also not have to deal with wastewater, which wastewater is a huge pain in the butt if you are making roadie water at any point in time. So it's realistically one of those things. For testing high TDS, cut your sample 50-50 with distilled water. It'll give you a general idea of how far above the scale is. That is perfect. That is perfect. In fact, great advice right there. If it's going off, if your readings are going off of the scale, you need to somehow figure out how to bring it back so that you can multiply it to figure out what the scale is. But in any kind of situation where a TDS meter is reading off the charts in 1,000, you are going to need an RO unit in front of the DI, which I don't hear because our water only tests like 42 TDS or something like that. So it's actually pretty simple to filter that water. But if it's that high up, you would actually need the RO to get a bunch of the stuff out of the water before you hit the deionization in your filter. So that is something to pay attention to if you are testing your TDS. That's kind of where that really comes in handy. That's where the RO comes in handy. For me, it just ends up being a big waste of water. I have to figure out where to put the wastewater, and I also have to replace the RO after probably a year of using it. Excuse me, scratching my arm there. let's see. I found your discussion with Corey about aquarium versus marine salts fascinating. Looking forward to your collaborations. Oh, right on. Yeah, the that salt conversation, I'm probably going to go in depth and make a video about that. I think it's on my mind since yesterday, because we were talking about that yesterday. So if anybody missed yesterday's show, we were going into that stuff. That is also some stuff that we can look forward to in the future. That's one of the big reasons that Corey and I are kind of collaborating to do this long format stuff, is because I think honestly in the format of like a 5 or a 6 minute video or anything like that, you really can't get into a real in-depth conversation where a bunch of stuff gets lost. These real quick sound bites and that kind of stuff that is a lot of the media nowadays. I don't think you end up getting a lot of information from people that have experience, so it doesn't necessarily work for me. Like if I watch the news, I can't take it. I can't take it trying to watch the news where they talk about something for 30 seconds and then they go on to the next thing, and it's just like, you told me a thing that happened and you didn't tell me anything about it. I have no information now. You just informed me that I'm uninformed, and now I got to go learn about something that someone else brought to my attention. You know what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? It's really one of those weird things. Let's see. Dwayne Kitchell's live stream tomorrow will center on osmoregulation because he believes this is a very important subject. Yeah, if anybody has yet to check out Dwayne Kitchell, go ahead and check out his channel. I know that he's going to go live. I know that he's going to go live at some point in time. I don't know what time that will be, but he normally goes live on Saturdays, I believe. Saturdays, I'm always super busy, so I rarely make it to anybody's live stream or anything like that. Let's see here. 4 p.m. Eastern time, so 1 p.m. my time. 1 p.m. Oh, so right after the Jimmy and Corey on Saturday. So check out Dwayne right after that. Hopefully you guys learn some stuff. Dwayne is a very, very smart, very learned guy. He's definitely got a lot of good stuff to do. Steven Skoglund says, some people put wastewater into their planted tanks. I don't trust it, but I may do a video in the distant future and see what happens. I will forewarn anybody about putting your RODI wastewater into a planted aquarium. One of the big things that an RO unit is going to stop from going through, one of the biggest things that it will stop from going through is salts. It's a lot of heavy salts. It's going to stop a lot of ammonias. It's going to stop chloramines. It's going to stop chlorine. Now the DI realistically will do most of that legwork as far as the chloramines go, because the chloramines are chlorine attached to an ammonia. So to not get too far into super nerd talk, the RO unit is going to push that and put it back into your aquarium, right? Now, that might not be a big situation in my 300-gallon planted aquarium, right? That might not be out of this world. It might not be a huge deal, but you also don't know what is in that wastewater, okay? That wastewater that is coming off of your Rhodey filter that's going over here, you don't know what that water is because you're probably not testing it. I would guess that most people aren't testing it, okay? And that wastewater that comes off of there could essentially poison your tank. You could really end up with something that could poison your tank from that wastewater. Now, from time to time, I would use the wastewater off of our Rhodey for watering plants outside, but realistically, it's not a great. It is not a great idea to do that. Okay, it's not a great idea to use the wastewater off of a Rhodey because you're essentially ending up with all of this stuff that you don't want to put into your aquarium is the wastewater, right? It's just floating around in the wastewater. And let's say that you make 50 gallons of Rhodey water, right? So you make 50 gallons of pure, nice, clean water. you end up with essentially 50 gallons of garbagey, dirty water, right? You've taken from 100 gallons of waste, or all of the waste from 100 gallons of water, and concentrated it down into 50 gallons, right? So if there was a problem with your water initially from doing a water change, now it's twice as bad, and that is going to be problematic if you're going to be just putting that into your aquarium. Now, there's also a lot of things out there that a RO and a DI unit will be pulling, because it's, the DI side is going to pull positive cations and negative cations from your water, which is going to cover most everything that is air quote bad in your water supply. Will be what's the word? Where's the word? Where's the word I'm looking for? I lost it. I completely lost my train of thought. What happened? What was I talking about? Oh, so the positive and negative charge cations are going to be pulled out of your water. Now, a lot of those could be mysteriously bad things, like arsenic. Like, why is there a little bit of arsenic in here? Why is there a little bit of mercury in here? Because realistically, that may or may not be at a healthy standard for people, right? It might be a healthy standard for people to drink it, and the water supply may not be letting you know about that. Now, if you're from well water and you haven't tested your water, you may or may not know any of the stuff that you're drinking. And an extra shout out to the people in Flint, and I forget who had mentioned it. Somebody had mentioned it. Let's see, Lane 008761. I love the shout out to Flint, Michigan. We were actually out there. It says, I wish it was on better terms, but that's where I'm from. We were actually out there in Flint, Michigan 2 years ago over at Matt Weber's, who's one of our moderators here. We're over at Matt Weber's house. I really loved Flint. We had a great time there. It is unfortunate what they're doing to their water supply there, and it is pretty crazy. Oh, we got some super chats coming in, which has kind of been a rarity this week, honestly, which is, as long as, oh, excuse me. I'm burping while I'm trying to talk. So I'm not up on the super chats, so it's been kind of a rarity this week. But 54 Punchy with the extension Friday, with the $6.99 Friday extension super chat. Well, thank you very much. And Nisi with the $5 broke gal. Dang it, I want an extension too. All right. Well, we'll be able to extend this as long as we get the super chat extensions, right? We'll be able to extend it until Victoria starts to arrive on her train. So whenever that is, if anybody knows about the train schedule, we'll know when that's going down, which actually is right around 6 o'clock or something like that. And this smart guy right here, actually, I put dinner today in the crock pot. So dinner will be ready when we get home. So that's going to be amazing. And luckily, if we just jam on the dinner, then we get to hang out and have a beautiful, beautiful Friday evening. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We might be watching that Salvation show a little bit. We might watch an episode of that Salvation on Amazon. I'm not sure. It's about space, but they haven't really like gone to space or anything yet. It just seems sort of like these kind of character development things. So I'm hoping that at some point in time something happens in this show. There has been zero action. And we typically will watch like one episode of a show when we're eating dinner and then go back to whatever we're doing. What is in the crock pot? It is red beans, spicy red beans, chili, and ham hocks and stuff. Woo, let's see here. I need to go to bed. It's 2 a.m. here and an early start tomorrow, but I'll catch up on the rest later. Oh, Lisa C. Well, have a good night. I'm wildly impressed that you stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning. I know that most people that watch this show generally watch this show so that they can go to sleep. They just listen to my voice and it puts them right to sleep. I'm still expecting at some point in time someone is going to accidentally spam chat by falling asleep directly onto their keyboard like so, and I think it will all have a good laugh. We'll all have a good laugh, but don't spam the chat on purpose. We're just waiting for that one person that actually falls asleep face first into their keyboard. Kevin Keener says, wish I could take the train. Downside for working in transit is my commute doesn't work with transit. That is wildly apropos, realistically. That's like, well, you have to drive to the transit place so that you can do the transit stuff, and we won't pick you up because we're the transit guys. I wonder if there's a garbage guy out there that picks up the garbage from his own house. That would be funny. That would be pretty funny. Let's see here. Let me catch up on some of this Chatty McChatterton. CL will destroy an RO membrane prematurely. Ashton, I'm not sure. CL, what is CL? What are you referring to? Would roadie water be good for gardens? All the minerals and crap. Kevin, yes, roadie water runoff can be good for minerals, or for gardens and stuff in regards to the minerals and stuff. But like I said, there's too much detrimental things that could potentially be in that water that it's not that great of an idea to utilize the water that way. The roadie runoff, it would be a lot better, in my opinion, and this is the way that I do it, would be to utilize it more of a DI filter if you were concerned about that wastewater. If that otherwise that wastewater should go down a drain, because you're going to save essentially everything in that runoff water from the roadie is just basically all of the garbage. And Kevin Keener with the faux 1734 iPhone super chat extensions. Pleco Steve just increased my pledge from $1 to $5. Tag you're it. Oh, thank you, Pleco. I got the notification for that, for rolling over to the Patreon and busting it up, or bumping it up. I was busting it up, bumping it up just a little bit. I certainly appreciate it. We've had a bunch of people increase their pledges this week. Tim Lewis is one of them. We have a bunch of new patronizers today. So before we get to the extension part, I want to give the shout out to all of the patronizers, because it is pretty amazing. I can't say that it's not amazing to me, because it is amazing to me. And it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to see how much support we got going. I know, as I said kind of earlier, it almost sounds like ungrateful when I'm like, well, we haven't made our goal yet. Well, honestly, we haven't made our goal yet, but I'm still super encouraged and super stoked. And I'm trying to figure out how to say a bigger thank you. We haven't hit the goals yet to do more shows, other than now we're starting up the podcast with Corey, which is actually more shows. It's going to be like 2 more hours a week. At some point in time, we want to up the shows. We want to up the shows around here so that I can do an early one, so people like Lisa C don't have to necessarily stay up until 2 o'clock in the morning to make the live stream kind of stuff. If she wants to stay up for both, that would be totally cool. But we would like to honestly do 2 different shows throughout the day, so we can do one early and do one later. And we'll see how that comes along. That's our long-term goal, to be able to do 2 a day. So, or 2 a day, Monday through Friday, if that makes sense. But I want to give a shout out to all the patronizers here. We got 55 of them, so bear with me. It does take a minute to run through them. Everybody at the top here: Aquarium Co-op, Steven Skoglund, Kieran Egan, the Fishy Mailman, Sashimi Whiskey, Long Woo, Eric Gone Mad, and All of those guys are all $20 and above. Those are our those are our big supporters. But honestly, this is a community. We're trying to get together to fund some of this stuff. It's the group. It's the group that does it. I wouldn't expect one person to show up and pay for the whole thing. If that makes sense. As Corey was mentioning yesterday, I had to go buy another camera at the drop of a hat yesterday. So that's just some of the kind of cost and expense that goes on around here. And these you guys are the people that are helping keep the wheels on the train here. And down here at the $10 plus, Joel Gillett, Tim Lewis, Kyle Paith, who is new, Pax, Vince Grippa, Denzel Gregory, Nick K Aquatics, Rob Hicks, Matt Gilmet, Jack Betts, Cichlid Bro, and Emden Hollander. Down here at the $5 plus, we got the Kevin Keener, Jennifer J. Sarchicino, Pamela Earlywine, Bracken Ward, Pleco Steve, Dennis Ballard, Dean Hanoi, Theodore Schultz, Roger Deadham, Lecter Records, Candy Overholes, Addison Nishijima, Jim Meeker, Karen Halbert, Eve Daggle, Kevin Hayes, Gene Fensky, and Karen Casey Ellis, who was the first to the chat today, I think. Oh, no, she was third to the chat today. Down here at the $1 mark, we've got a big group of people at the $1 mark. Much appreciate it, you guys. Gary Brown, Barbara Jackson, Ian Van Natter, Wyatt Hickson, Derek Runyon, HC Aqua, Alexander Radion, Nisi of the North, Dean Feldman, Teresa Cookie, Spencer Ballard, AMA Aquatics, Matthew Wagger Hagerden, Priscilla MK, Jeff Jackson, Thomas Donchek, and Matthew. Just a quick shout out to everybody out there. Thank you very much. It's monumental. It's monumental. It's huge. It's hugely bigly. All right, I think I got through it, and I probably only took a couple of breaths there, so I'm probably going to pass out now. Hold on a second. Let's see here. I'm going to catch up with the chat a little bit. Let's see what we got here in the extension show. Like I said, I wanted to give a shout out to everybody before we ran out past the hour here and going a little bit late in the show. Let's see. Check out Cleverman on Netflix. Ingenious Superheroes. Oh, I'll check that out. Crockpot is a busy fish keeper's best friend. Yes, for sure. Crockpot is a busy anybody's best friend, honestly. Let's see. Oh, Mary Beth, sausage hamburger, your favorite spaghetti sauce, and cheese of your choice. Some cream cheese. Yum. That sounds pretty good in the old crock pot. I wonder if there is a trash man that picks up his own trash. Yep. There's got to be somebody out there that does that. Ever feel the need to cap off Fluval stratum with sand or gravel of some sort to hold back deterioration? In the 150 that we're working on right now from the video segment today, I do have some fluorite black sand. Is a bit of the additive that is the third type of substrate that is in that aquarium. There's a couple bags of black sand that are in there. On top of, or well, kind of mixed in now, but mixed in with the Fluval stratum and the ADA Amazonia that are the more prevalent substrates that are in there. Very helpful to have some of that fluorite black sand. It is beautiful. It looks beautiful. Plants grow in it great. Fine root plants grow in there awesome. So it's fantastic substrate for doing some carpeting stuff and those kinds of things. If that makes sense. Hopefully that answers your question. So yes, sometimes I do, but generally don't make a sand cap 100% over your tank. I would only generally use the nice planted sand for a carpeting area if you were going to do some carpeting around there. It just makes it much easier to plant and hold down the fine roots as compared to the other ones. Kevin Keener, they're nice enough to give me a free transit pass on the bus system that you can't use. How very generous. How very generous of them. Yeah, there was a point in time where I worked for a big corporation that gave us a year-long bus pass, and none of the buses went to my house or to the work where I worked at, which was amazing, because I was like, I don't understand why you guys would give me a bus pass if I can't use it. It was super weird, and I found it to be quite odd. that they counted it as one of the benefits when it was like, yeah, but I can't. There is no benefit for this. I've just got a fatter wallet with no money in it. Ooh, Jordan Leroy, don't get me started on trains. Scotrail. Scotrail? I don't know how to say that. Oh, Scot Rail. Oh, got it. Scotland Rail. Got it. There's an absolute joke canceling trains when I'm sitting on it and changing the platform of trains at departure time, so I end up halfway to Edinburgh. I never really realized that like crazy stuff like that could be going on in Great Britain at all. You figure they'd have it figured out by now, you know, but that's pretty funny. At least America's still kind of new, right? So maybe it's like, well, we're just new here, you know. Let's see. Can you do a video, or have you done one, on the correct way to divide America? Correct way to divide aquarium plants, Anubias specifically. Yes, I have. I've done quite a few videos on dividing Anubias. I don't know where they are. I'm not great at referencing them, mainly because today is video 580. So hopefully that comes in. Hopefully that comes in handy for people, because I'm just not. It's not organized like that. But the best way that I could answer that in a what's the word? In an effective way right now would be with Anubias. So the rhizome is that fat stalk that runs horizontal, right? And then the leaves grow up here and the roots grow down here. The easiest way to divide it is get a good pair of sharp scissors, and then you want to cut that rhizome. Don't ever cut the rhizome shorter than 1 inch, essentially. So make sure that you have a good amount, and then you can split those into two. Any smaller than that, and you run a real good chance of essentially killing it, because it's just not big enough to handle it. So as it grows, at one point in time, I had one that was about 1.5 feet long. And I just cut that down into like probably 20 pieces or something like that. That is the best way to divide them. But I would bear in mind that sometimes they still will die from it, just because, you know, I'm sure it's all sorts of weird microscopic things happening down at the level. Sometimes they die and sometimes they don't. It could be problematic, but that's the best way to go about doing it. That horizontal rhizome area is where we want to cut right in between some of the leaves there. That would be the best way to describe it to you without like necessarily shooting a video. But I will be happy to see if maybe I can find some of my Anubias that's big enough at this point to divide it, and maybe shoot a video for that. Pleco Steve was saying, I guess I did that very recently, so maybe I did do that, and so maybe I'll look through the video or something and make a quick video out of it and do like a new voiceover or something. I don't know. Let's see. How often do I change out stratum? Jordan Leroy's asking. Generally, I don't. I find that stratum actually lasts quite a long time. I've had some tanks. So some of the substrate that is in the 240 is stratum that is mixed in with it. I find that it holds up for quite a long time. I think I have some of the stratum that is in there is 8 years old. So I mean, 7 years old, something like that, 6 years old. I don't know, somewhere in that range, but it definitely holds up the test of time if you're not bashing the hell out of it and necessarily turning it to dust. But even when it does kind of turn to dust, it ends up kind of turning to this sort of artificial mulm. So even when it gets dusty and turns into that weird broken up substance, it actually still does quite well. Let's see. Kevin Keener upped his Patreon a couple of days ago. If I'm not the only one, you're in for some surprises. It's a good point. Surprises! It's always a good point to throw in some surprises here at the end of the at the end of the Friday video, right? Because it's the end of the week, and we're gonna be running out of video unless I can get one edited for the weekend. Let's see. Mary Beth's got to go. Thanks for the advice on the snails and decorations. Oh, well, you're very welcome. Have a great night. Tetra active substrate is so light it is a nightmare to plant in, and some of it floats at first. I don't think I've ever had any experience with Tetra active substrate, honestly. I don't think I've ever messed with that. Oh, maybe I have. I recognize this bag. Well, maybe I have. I wouldn't want to speak off cuff and say that I have or haven't. I don't think that I have ever messed with that. The bag looks super familiar though, so I can't really recount any experience that I've actually had with it, so I think I'll just leave it at that. But apparently it's a nightmare, and some of it floats at first, which is annoying as all get out, obviously, I would imagine. Let's see. Tim Lewis, will a quarantine tank stay cycled without fish in it? I do have some moss balls and java fern in it and a couple of snails. Well, it essentially will stay cycled. The easiest way to keep it cycled would be to and this obviously is a little bit crazy. The easier way to do it, I'll say right after. The kind of crazy way to do it would just get an eyedropper with ammonia and add an eyedropper of or add a drop of ammonia into the tank once a week, and that will help keep the cycle alive. Just essentially because the bacteria is going to be breaking down the ammonias and stuff like that, and will keep the bacteria alive. But essentially what I would do in that situation is I would keep the tank running. And if I had another tank going, I would just move over some biomedia when it was time to get it going again and get it ready. Because as I showed earlier in the week, how to quick cycle a tank is actually pretty easy, and it's not a very difficult thing to do. If no one's done it before, it's confusing. So hopefully I made enough of a video that people will be able to figure it out. Dank Tank says episode 576 has the ANUBIAS cutting. Oh, right on. Dank Tank's on the spot. Transit is all political. It's all about number of riders, all taxi funded, and big ridership means big tax money. If the public knew how uneconomically smart it was run, they'd flip. Yeah, that's pretty true. It's a great point. At Nisi, I'm up for work in 6¼ hours, so tomorrow is the end of the week. Right on, Jordan. It's always great to get to the end of the week. Dwayne Kitchell was saying you can also just lightly feed the tank. Yes, that was the other way that I obviously trailed off and talked about something else instead. You can also add just a little bit of fish food instead of ammonia. Ammonia, like I was saying, ammonia was kind of the crazy way of doing it. But you can just add a little bit of fish food like once a week, and that will break down and keep the ammonia and keep the bacteria alive. Not to mention, yeah, so if that makes sense. Jordan Leroy, Stratum costs a lot in the UK, so if it lasts for more than 2 years, it's worth the investment. Yeah, I very much specifically have used Stratum for more than 2 years for sure in the same aquarium. Like I said, the 240 has some really old stuff in it. Like most of the substrate in there is really old. I don't really understand if you set up the tank correctly with some really good substrates, there really isn't a big reason to throw out or change into new substrate, honestly. Unless you have like a dirted tank, it's a good idea to go ahead and empty that out and redo it. That would be for sure. I would say. All right, well, we are at the 1 hour and 17 minute mark, so I think we're gonna start getting to the end of the show. I think most people are winding down anyhow as far as the chat goes. Yeah, the chat is slowing down. So all right, we're getting to the end here. I want to say a big thank you to Eddie West for the super chat, to 54 Punchy for the super chat, and Nisi, the super broke gal, with the super chat also. It is honestly, like, your guys' support is paramount to trying to keep this thing going. So I guess I guess I just add another thing down here at the end where I'm like, hey man, go to the Patreon and do the Patreon thing. And I hate saying it, man. I really do. My whole goal here is to have no more commercials at all. None of that stuff. And just, honestly, get the bills paid and be able to do bigger projects and stuff. I mean, that's honestly the long-term goal. That really, really is what it is. A bunch of people leaving now, so if I talk about the end coming, a bunch of people leave. So maybe maybe I'll have to remind myself that wait, what's this stupid thing doing? Click the wrong button. It was doing fine. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. So maybe if the chat gets too busy, I'll just start talking about how the how it's like how we're winding down and getting to the end. I don't understand why this isn't loading now. All right, well that's weird. All right, Roof 5 Studios says or keep going. Kevin Hayes with the $2 with the $2 super chat. Just to remind people that nickels are money also. Nickels and dimes, that is for sure, is monies. And every little bit see, that's the big thing, is that like every little bit adds up. Every little bit adds up for sure. And it very much gets us to a point where I don't understand why this thing won't reload. I don't know why this thing won't load. I don't know. This thing's not loading for whatever reason, so now I've lost the chat. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's back. It's working. All right, there we go. I couldn't load YouTube for whatever reason. There. I had accidentally closed the window and then it started to get weird. All right. So let's see. Oh, Jennifer J had your nap made you late. Ah, that's the worst. Room 5 Studio says I'm trying to get rich. No, not really. I just want to be able to work on more projects and do more stuff. So that realistically is the goal. And hey, here's the thing: if people don't see value in it, then there's no value in it, and that's reality. So that's one of the things that Corey and I were talking about yesterday, sort of behind the scenes. If you guys want to talk about behind the scenes, was in regards to the fact of like, why would we do the podcast necessarily? Because we're trying to expand the ability to be able to do more shows and stuff like that, right? It's like, and with the podcast kind of format, which is really cool, is that we do actually have analytics that are unscrewed with, right? We basically end up with analytics that are unfiltered, right? Whereas YouTube definitely does filter their analytics and all that kind of stuff to kind of suit their needs, or however you want to look at it. I mean, it's hard to kind of look at it, but they're the ones that supply the analytics for their own platform, right? So that ends up that's what ends up it being kind of the issue sometimes, right? Is that so let's say I get 100,000 views in a month, right? And they go, that's worth $8. And you go like, well, yeah, but how do we come up with that number? And they're like, we're the ones that do that. And so that's the strange thing about it, is that you end up going to those guys and going, hey, what's going on here? And they go, well, we're the ones that say what goes on, right? So you could ask them, and you go like, well, I don't understand why somebody else that gets 100,000 views, you cut them a check for $200, but for me it was $40. And they go, well, yeah, see, our analytics here are the ones that say that. So not to be coming down on YouTube or any of that kind of stuff, but if in order to get a real analytic, right, is that is to host it from an independent platform, and then being able to actually go, okay, well, we realistically had 80,000 views, right? And then what is that marketable? Because we'd have independent analytics, which is one of the great things about podcasts, is that they do have independent analytic company that is able to do that with the actual how many times it's been downloaded and stuff. So that's kind of one of the weird things, is that like it is one of those weird, like, in and out, like, crazy stupid things that it's just like people are like, this puts me to sleep, and I'm like, I get it. But just kind of explaining some of the stuff that is there. Tim Lewis with the super chat, thank you for helping me be better at fish keeping. Oh, you're very welcome. It's my pleasure to be able to do this kind of stuff, and as I said, like, it's one of those things, like, go to Chicago, go to some people's fish rooms that are out in Chicago, go to the aquatic experience and meet a bunch of the people out there, talk to you guys in person. It's one of the reasons I do the live show and stuff like that, is like, if I can make these 10-minute videos and just pump them out all week long, and but it's always just that one-sided conversation that is just a little bit nutty to me, where I'm like, I'm telling people stuff, no one has any chance to, like, have a back and forth conversation, which is why I like doing this show, is that we're able to have a back and forth conversation, get better answers to people out there, and also like a real ability to do some kind of diagnostic and go in depth onto a subject, and actually follow along with some of the stuff that that people are really having questions with, and that's really, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, we're able to go in depth, and if there's enough people that are going, I'm confused about what you're talking about, if I just upload a video, I may or may not get one or two or five or six, like, messages, right, from people that actually took the time to post onto that video and go, I don't really know what you're talking about. But whereas most people that watch a video and don't know what they're talking about will end up just watching another video, right? They'll just end up watching something else and trying to get to the bottom of it on their own. Whereas, you know, the community here, it's like, if Kevin Hayes comes on and asks me a question, I know Kevin's asking a real question. He knows what's going on. You know, we've spoken before and that kind of stuff. And able to go, like, okay, here's what may or may not be going on. Or he's like, I'm confused on what you're talking about. And I go like, oh, cool, I can help answer Kevin a little bit better, or whoever. So that's kind of one of the things that's one of the reasons for doing this kind of show and stuff like that. And it does really, like, eat up a lot of my time to be able to, like, do the production of this and stuff. So I really appreciate you guys all patronizing the super chats, all that shit. And it is awesome. And I really do appreciate it. Sean Crabe saying, I still do like the 10-minute videos, but I'll watch whatever you put out. What's up from Australia? Oh, right on. I appreciate that. Like I said, I'm getting to the point now where hopefully I'm gonna start putting out some more, like, you know, 5-minute videos, the how-tos and that kind of stuff, to try and help people out that way. Also, I'm hopefully segmenting enough time out of my week to get my workflow done, so that I'm able to produce those videos without everything else falling apart while I'm trying to do that stuff. So, you know, we definitely did some great organization yesterday in regards to what our schedule is going to be coming up, and I'm pretty excited about all this stuff. And you know, without the Patreon and you guys supporting, I just wouldn't be able to do it. I'd end up, like, you know, putting out, like, you know, 2 or 3 videos a month, and generally not even have a chance to even talk to y'all or anything like that. So that is something that I'm super stoked about. I'm super stoked to be, like, engaged with people and stuff, and with with you guys and help grow this community, and hopefully reach out to getting some more people involved, getting some more people excited about things that are going on, or the people that are already into it, the possibility to either improve their setup or maybe try something new that they haven't tried before, that that they never wanted to because they were kind of freaked out by it. One of those things would be like, I'm pretty involved in the planted community, right? And one of the things that I'm trying to expose people to a little bit is some of the reef stuff, because I think there's a whole other world out there that is really complementary one to another. You know, in my fish room, you can go from a planted tank to a reef tank, to a planted tank to a reef tank. So you can go from up on the land to out in the middle of the ocean kind of stuff. So that is one of those things. Also with the aquaponics and the gardening and all the art projects and the building projects and all that kind of stuff that I do, I want to be able to document more of that stuff and help people out with that kind of stuff. So that's one of the big time goals down the way too. Nisi is heading out. Thank you for talking in my ear. We'll see you all awesome fish keepers another time. Have a great weekend. If I don't see y'all in the co-op, fellas, chat first. Right on, Nisi. Have a great night. We are at the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, and Kathy Robideau with the $2 Canadian super chat. I love it when it's like specific to what country it's coming from. That always cracks me up. Hey man, I appreciate it. It's super awesome. I'm gonna go try to have a great Friday night. I hope everybody else has a great Friday night. From Kevin Hayes, just from family coming to my house. They either want to get a tank or at least show a lot more appreciation for the hobby. Makes you feel good to be a part of the community that supports Mother Nature. Yeah, that to me is right down to the core. That's it, right down to the core. A lot of people end up learning a lot of stuff once they start getting a fish tank. They start learning about farming, gardening, all that kind of crazy stuff. So I hope everybody out there has a fantastic Friday. I want to say extra special thank you to Eddie West, 54 Punchy, Nisi, Kevin Hayes, Glass Boxes, Tim Lewis, Kathy Robideau for all of your super chats. It's badass, man. It's awesome. It's all going to go into the paying for the plane ticket and all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're up to right now. And let's see, Room 5 Studios, always about trying something new, also improving. Planted and Reef, both great challenges and endeavors. Candy Overhauls, great night, or good night, and have a great night. And everybody out there on your Friday night, be safe, don't be crazy. Wherever Gillet's at, don't be lighting off fireworks tonight, because I'm keeping my eyes on you, kid. Have a great night. I got to find this button over here. Later.